All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the All-in-One Nerd Show. With me, as always, is Lumen Nerdy, and we have a very special guest today, a Fifth of Jack Gaming, aka Adam. Adam, how are you?
I'm awesome. How about you guys?
Doing good, hanging in there.
Yeah, hanging in there. That's the best way to describe it.
Thank you guys for the awesome invite.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have you. You are our first guest of the new year, so you should feel very honored that we asked you to come on. Today we are going to be talking about childhood cartoons and all that good jazz. But before we dive in, why don't we chat a little bit about what we're reading? So, Adam, since you're our guest, we will start with you. What have you been reading lately?
Well, evidently I've been an Avengers kid because I'm reading two different omnibus. I'm reading Young Avengers. I can't remember which one of it. And then I'm also reading the New Avengers. With the Bendis one.
Okay, cool. And are you reading those in like omnibus format or digitally trade paperback?
In omnibus forms. As I say, I got the first print of the New Avengers. I got that. I didn't care for it the first time, but with all the love that everyone has about it, I decided to dive back in and try figuring out why I didn't love it, or do I love it now?
Sure.
And how has the revisit been going?
Amazing. As I say, I've been loving the action and all that. I'm probably a quarter way through.
Wow.
Awesome.
Jeez. You're a fast reader, man. I would never be a quarter as quick as that, but I'm also maybe a little inept when it comes to reading, but that's okay. We all read at different levels.
No. Well, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Will you do a video on your channel reviewing that, you think?
Yes. I'm probably going to do that for the New Avengers, definitely. The other one, I'm going to try to get into know it first a little bit better.
All right. Awesome. And James, and there is a link to your YouTube channel in the description below. So please go and subscribe to his channel. But James, if you're in the chat still, if you could please post a link, that would be incredible. I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, so you're reading New Avengers and Young Avengers, right?
Yep.
Did I get that right? Awesome. All right, Illuminati, what have you been reading the last week since I've talked to you or so?
I recently started a reread of Sex Criminals by Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction.
Okay.
I usually let my wife choose what I'm going to read next because it's completely blind. She pretty much just points at whatever she thinks is pretty, so it makes it an easy decision. And then I also am reading, there's a 28 Days Later comic book series. I'm reading the trade paperback of that.
Okay.
And then I'm also reading the volumes that are out of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk run and J. Michael Straczynski's Captain America run.
Okay, cool. So you're reading a few books.
Yeah.
Sex Criminals. You said you're rereading that?
Yeah. Yep.
What do you think about that? Because I read that at the beginning of last year, I think, around like February, and I was not a fan. And I think it made it in your top indie books of 2024, I believe.
Yes.
But yeah, I was not a fan. I enjoyed like the first, because I have the deluxes. I enjoyed like the first one, but the second, especially the third, it just got too, I don't know. I just did not enjoy it. Yeah, and I was thinking about doing a video on that eventually, rereading it to see if my opinion will change, but I don't know what.
Yeah, I would agree that the first is the strongest, like the first deluxe edition. I think that's where a lot of the beloved aspects of the story kind of come from, like the emotional qualities and the like relationship building and stuff. But
sure,
I overall I think it's a pretty solid series. I mean, what I think I like the most is Chip Zdarsky's art in the series, which is still baffling to say because I think of Chip Zdarsky so much as a writer now, but his art in that series, I really, really, really enjoy. And that's probably the standout for me.
See, that's a big part of what I did not enjoy about Sex Criminals is the art. I feel like it's way too. It's almost like fan made, you know. Like if I don't know, it did not have a nice polish to it for me, and I did not enjoy that. But I would give it another shot eventually, not anytime soon. I got too much to read. But.
Yeah. I would definitely say try it again. I mean, I think it's one of those titles where it is an acquired taste. Like I do agree with that. Like it's not for everybody, but I think you can grow into it. You know, it's even one of those titles. Like I think when it was initially coming out, I mean, I don't even know how old I was at that point, but it was one of those titles that was way over my head, probably because I was too young to even put together, you know, what exactly was going on and at what point time was freezing. But I think now that I'm a little bit older, I've always really, really enjoyed it. And I also find myself liking the unpolished stuff. So I do agree with your opinion on like the art and stuff being unpolished, but I've actually grown to like that stuff.
Okay.
Which is kind
Adam,
of crazy.
have you read that, Adam, or no?
No, I thought about it a couple of times. It just keeps on getting on put on the back burner. I see a collection. Yeah. I'm like, is this the first volume? Is this the compendium? What's going on? I just haven't pulled the trigger.
I know there's trade paperbacks, but I know there is a compendium out now that came out last year, I want to say. So that is probably the most cost efficient way to read it if you want to, you know, read the entire series. And there are nice deluxe editions that I have somewhere back here.
That's what I've been tempted by is I wanted to get to deluxes. And I'm like, do I want the compendium? But I want the deluxe. The collector in me wants to have the deluxe, like the best version I can get of it.
Yeah.
No, I get that completely. That's the poison of this hobby is that itch to have the best edition of a run or whatever. Okay, cool. So you're reading a few things then. See, I have always struggled with reading multiple things at once. Like I cannot read multiple comics at once. I don't know. I have, however, been reading like a prose book and then a comic at the same time. I find that balance to be better for me. But like reading multiple
speaking of
books,
reading, what are you reading?
I'm reading. I'm not reading any comics at the moment. I'm kind of taking a bit of a break from comics, like a 2-day break. You know, like I'll start reading a comic again, you know, over on Monday or so. But I finished Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. I'm going to do a video on that, kind of not necessarily reviewing it, more breaking it down because I really love the ideas and I feel like it's. Have either of you guys read that one?
Nope.
Understanding Comics. I highly recommend it. But it is dense at times and does not. It just throws a lot at you. So I do kind of want to make a video on that for myself to maybe remember some of the ideas. I know, like Omar, he said he rereads it like once a year. It's that good. So I do recommend it, but it's a dense book at times for sure. And then I read Gun Honey after that, the first volume of Gun Honey. Man, is that a fun book? I'll tell you what. There is, as Omni Dog would say, there's a lot of cheesecake in that book, but I love it. I love it. Let me tell you.
I always wondered if that was just the story or if that's the cake factor.
Well,
being a big thing.
I do love the story, and I love the premise, the idea of it, and it is kind of a little deep at times, where the main character is kind of morally gray, and kind of deals with issues of like the government kind of being almost morally gray too, on what they will and won't do, and So I do find it interesting. I read the first volume. I have the second one of the main series, and then there's also a first volume of Heat Seeker, which I think's a spinoff. I don't know. I haven't really read it, but I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. The artwork's beautiful. It's a fun action comic. I think it would make for a great TV show or movie. Personally, I would love to see that for various reasons. But it is a good comic. It really is. It's well written. It's like I read the first volume in like one night. Like it's very quick. So
since you're talking about a series or movie thing, who are you gonna have play it?
That's a good. I think an unknown would be cool. I think an unknown actors would be cool.
What level of cheesecake is it? Because I feel like when I watch Omni Dog's videos and he talks about it, he makes it almost feel like it's kind of like 18 plus type of stuff, but I don't think it's that, right? Or is it?
No, there's one panel, one like splash page in particular that is very much 18 plus, very much so. And there's times where the main character does not need to be nude, and she's nude. I'm not complaining, but it's like, I mean, it's not necessary. But I'm like, okay, awesome. This is great. So yeah, it's very much 18 plus at times, very much so. But I do think it's an interesting premise. I guess if you guys don't know, the idea behind the main character of Gun Honey is she gets guns into places for people to then, assassinate people and whatnot. So she just gets guns into hard places. And that's like her whole premise and whatnot. And there's a twist at the end that I was not seeing at all. Really caught me off guard. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. So it really did kind of dive deeper for me in a lot of ways. Because it's not all just like cheesecake, there is an interesting story to it for sure. So I do recommend it.
Okay.
So yeah, I've read Understanding Comics, Gun Honey, the first volume, and then I'm reading a prose book called When Panic Attacks by, I can't remember the guy's name now. He wrote this other book, I think called Feeling Good or something like that. And it's just all about, this book is all about combating like panic attacks, anxieties and stuff using cognitive behavioral therapy, which is based on the idea that you feel the way you think. So if you change the way you think, you can change kind of the way you feel when it comes to like anxiety, depression. So I find it super fascinating. So I do recommend that book too, for those, who struggle with anxiety or depression. I think it's a great read, and it's not very dense. It's not like a textbook or anything like that. It's fast paced for sure. Anyhow, yeah, so that's what I'm reading. We got, I don't know how to say it. Caribbean? No, that's not. How would you say that?
Corbin?
Hideout. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Happy Saturday to you.
Hey,
bud. Yeah, so I feel like I just rambled on about the books I'm reading for like 10 minutes, but
I loved it. You were engrossed in it, man. I was letting it go. I was like, heck yeah.
That's what I'm reading at the moment. I will.
You had cake. That's what it was thought everyone would be interested into, huh?
Yeah, nice cheesecake.
Not what the cake that everyone would be thinking.
Yeah. And I am gonna start a new comic. I don't know which one yet though, and I haven't decided. I guess I'll just wait till Monday to see or maybe I'll start tomorrow, see what feels right. Maybe Gun Honey Volume 2. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. But yeah, so why don't we dive into today's topic of childhood cartoons? Now, I really don't have many I want to talk about. There are, however, a couple cartoons, aimed for kids, really for all ages, but I guess more so for kids that I discovered in my, 20s that I've really enjoyed watching. One in particular I really enjoyed. But why don't we start with Adam? Adam, what is one of your favorite childhood cartoons? What's one you would want to talk about here?
Well, let's go with the green guys here. Let's go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually ended up watching that as it was being broadcast and stuff like that. So I have fond memories of it. And it was amazing because you ended up having the craziness that came over with the Turtles that we could end up expecting. And then the biggest thing that you can end up remembering is like when Shredder comes over with like a big 5.5-inch floppy. I'm going to take over the world with this floppy. This has to go over everything.
Okay, cool.
Oh, how times have changed.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've never seen the cartoon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've seen the 80s movies, which I actually grew up with. I enjoyed those when I was a kid. And then kind of the newer stuff that's been coming out here and there. So was the show, the animated show, was that the first introduction to those characters for you, or did you start with the comic?
Oh, no, I didn't do the comic. I started off with the cartoon.
Okay.
Fun fact, though, it was the longest running animated show up until The Simpsons. Then obviously,
really,
The Simpsons took the cake. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Do you know how many seasons there are?
I think there were 10.
Jeez, holy smokes.
Let me look over here.
Wow. And when did that show first come
seasons.
Out? Wow. 10 seasons. Wow. Okay.
It was released December 28th, 1987.
Well, okay.
However, I have made the dive. Oh, I can't even remember.
No.
Yeah. It was like lively game broadcast on there. I remember like sitting back there with a black and white TV because that's what we had at the time, and watching it and everything while my dad's over there working at the bait shop on the other side of the wall. So I'm like, hey. But yeah.
So interesting. Now
I would guess 8, maybe. No, wait. If it's 87, that means I was 2. But obviously, what being broadcast would have to be in the 90s. So probably 6, 7.
Cool. Tyler, did you watch this show too?
I watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like an iteration of it, which was the early 2000s version. I definitely have not watched the original cartoon. That was way before my time. And then on top of that, when I tried to watch it, now that I'm older, I just can't jive with it. It's just a little dated for me now. And I even think that with even some of the shows that I'm about to talk about. So
sure, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just accustomed to more modern stuff now. But the question I have for Adam is, who is your favorite turtle? That's the question we all want to ask.
Leonardo, by far. Swords, blue mask, had everything going on. Plus, he was a leader, so
that's fair.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. All 4 of them are great. I'd probably say the least fan favorite, or at least the people I don't hear say the most, is Donnie. But I've been running into so many Donnie fans lately, and I'm like, where have you guys been? You guys just came out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden there's all these Donatello fans.
I want to say that's Omnibody's favorite.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
I should say the most common one I've seen is Michelangelo. Everyone loving Mikey.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm basic.
Hey, you like to have a party. There's nothing wrong with a party.
and I like pizza.
Perfect.
So Adam, how do you feel about where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are today? You know, with the reboots, stuff like that. Like what's your favorite reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Would you say?
Well, the favorite reboot is probably the one that Illuminati ended up watching. That's probably my favorite reboot that came over with it, where it brought a more modern, but also a more edgy look over to it, where it's not as a hokey, funny, have a fun time with it. It's more like, hey, it's dark, it's gritty, it's what we ended up wanting. It still had a little bit of humor that came over with it.
Yep.
When they actually made them all different turtles, that was a jarring experience for me, believe it or not. where Raph is like a snapping turtle, what Donnie or whatever is a regular slider, or I'm like, whoa, this is too serious about it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's one. Okay.
Labruski, you seem lost. Did you watch any Ninja Turtles at all, like when you were a kid and stuff? Or
so I didn't watch any of the cartoons, but I did watch the 80s movies or whenever the 90s movies.
And that was it? That was like the extent?
That was really it. Yeah.
Wow.
But I really I like those movies. I remember
1, 2, and 3. Did you end up watching?
I think there's 4. I watched all 4.
Because there was a live on Broadway too of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. There's
really?
that. There was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, and then Teenage Mutant Turtles. Was it something in time? It was time travel. I forget the third one.
That one's not good. Third one's not good.
That's bad. That goes in the vault.
I've seen all the live action ones, even the newer ones. But yeah, I have like fond memories of watching those with my brother growing up. So that was the big exposure. And then also there was a TMNT animated movie that came out in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Which I saw that in theaters, actually. And I remember enjoying that. So I have always liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just never watched the cartoons. What do you guys think of the new movie that came out that I think Seth Rogen produced it, I want to say. Did you guys end up watching that?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. It was a different genre animation style.
Yeah.
Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I actually went out. I saw that in theaters because I'm like, I like Seth Rogen, what he's done, especially when it comes to like comic book properties. And I was like, I want to give it a shot. And I like the animation style, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, I liked it a lot. The animation style is jarring because it's so different. It's like that cell shaded style, you know, but
yeah,
I really like that cell shaded aesthetic. One of my favorite video games is Borderlands. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but that's a whole like cell shaded world. And I've always just really liked that. And I felt that applied to the Ninja Turtles. And then there was a good amount of like urban culture really incorporated into that movie too, which I thought worked perfectly. I really liked that. I also saw it in theaters too, which
and
fun.
I feel like there's a sequel coming out. I believe. I could be wrong, but
that I don't know.
I think it did okay at the box office, and I mean, critics seem to like it, fans seem to like it, so I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a sequel coming out.
Well, it sounds like it got all of our dollars. All of us went over and saw it, so
true. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I do want to read some of the comics that have come out recently. I know there's is there a Jason Aaron omnibus coming out or deluxe?
It's a library edition.
Just started.
Library edition. Okay. Yeah, so I do want to check that out. And then just IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, I think seems cool. And I got to read The Last Ronin still too. I haven't read that yet.
Oh, that's a must read. That's awesome.
There's a video game coming out too of that. Yeah,
I am worried about that.
The video game
doesn't transfer right. Yeah, because The Last Ronin is amazing. It's especially if you don't get spoiled.
Yeah.
See, I got it spoiled for me. So I think maybe that's why I have not been so eager to buy it. Yeah. But I will eventually and read it. I have a friend who raves about it, so I will read it for sure. But
very good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. All right, Mr. Illuminati, what is one of your childhood cartoons that you want to talk about?
Since Adam started with what's on his T-shirt, I'm going to start with what's on mine. For anybody that can't see, it is a Squirtle T-shirt. Pokemon was very big in my household. Not only the show, the anime with Ash Ketchum and his awesome Pikachu that we all wanted in real life, but also the video games. They were almost hand in hand. For me, my brother, my sister, we all had our own Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Colors and all kinds of handheld devices. And I always liked Pokemon. I still do, still to this day. I don't keep up with the TV shows as much by any means. I'm kind of one of those people where post Gen 4, I kind of pull back. I think it kind of gets into a level of ridiculousness when it comes to some of the Pokemon and introduction of different typings and stuff like that. So I kind of end at Gen 4, but that all those seasons that led up to that, and then the video games also just make my childhood just spot on and so perfect. And then getting a family dog, you're just trying to teach it water gun, but it's just not exactly working.
Awesome.
That's a different water gun.
I mostly grew up with the video games more so, because I feel like when I was growing up, like the show you're talking about with Ash Ketchum and all that, that had already like aired, so it wasn't really on TV that much when I was growing up in like 2006, whatever. But I did play a lot of the video games that came out and loved those. And I did go back when I was like in high school and rewatch, I think, the first season of the original Pokemon show and really enjoyed that. So yeah, that's an awesome pick. That's a great pick. Do you keep up with the video games at all or no?
Here and there. I got some of the ones that came out for the Switch. I haven't gotten any of the like free roaming full third person Pokemon games. I think one's like called Arceus or something like that, and then there's like a Japan inspired one, but I haven't touched those series or those titles yet. So I mainly stick to the handheld. My favorite game was Heart Gold, where you pretty much had the first gen Kanto starters and Gen 4 kind of lumped into the same game, which was awesome. But yeah, I don't keep up with too many modern games because it's now, like I said, to a ridiculous point where there's so many Pokemon to keep track of. It's so hard at this point. Yeah.
I'm a big person for the 150. Once they got over to 150, I'm like, oh, nope, I'm good. That's way too many avenues to be going with it.
Yeah.
So since we've all played the game, what game did you guys start off with? I started off with Red, the first game that came over with it.
I started with Blue, and I've done everything Blue minus Heart Gold. That's the only Red. You know how they always do like a kind of red variation or blue variation. That was the only title where I deviated, but I've always been Blue. I
remember when the remake, I think it was a remake of Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out. I don't know what year it was, but I was definitely in like elementary school still, and that game came out, and that was huge. And so I think my first one really was Heart Gold. Then I went back and played like Red, and I continued with the series for a little bit, but I don't play it anymore really. Which kind of lost interest. But and then with the trading cards too, I remember that was big. I got into those at one point, and Pokemon is
that's crazy nowadays too.
Yeah. I feel like Pokemon is, and I feel like there's like a statistic out there. I guess it wouldn't really be a statistic, but where it is the most profitable franchise like ever. Like just like ever. Like it beats any other franchise. And it makes sense. There's just so many, you got toys, you got cards, you got video games, you got shows. There's just so much you can do from a product standpoint with Pokemon. It's just endless. So, and it's so popular, it's not dying down anytime soon,
Nope.
Nope.
What starters was everybody?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I mean, I guess with I would switch. I remember though when I played Red, I was definitely Bulbasaur. I can't remember any of the starters for like Heart Gold.
Oh wow!
What era?
I did not expect that.
What era were you?
We'll just go with Gen 1 just to keep it simple, because
Charmander.
Jumping down a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, there's a mini rabbit hole. Charmander. I started off with Charmander.
So we got all three starters here. Look at that, because I'm obviously
So
a
you would go
guy.
Okay, I guess it makes sense from your T-shirt. Yeah, I would always switch. I wasn't like whenever new games came out, I would just really decide based off of which one I thought was the coolest, and that was it. I wouldn't stick to water or fire or whatever. I would kind of switch all over the place. So,
so that's fair. Yeah. Okay. What's your first show? Let's hear it out. Go ahead.
So the most notable childhood show, I think, for me would be SpongeBob SquarePants. I was at the perfect age for this show when it came out. The perfect age. I think it came out in 1999. So I was born in 2000. So I wasn't around. But I remember just being obsessed with SpongeBob. And I mean, I don't watch it now. But it was SpongeBob everything. I loved SpongeBob so much. And so it'd be SpongeBob SquarePants would be my first one.
Do we have a favorite character off the top of your head?
Oh, SpongeBob. Easy.
Oh, come on.
Easy.
That's a sellout.
I don't care. Listen, I'm one of those guys that's like One Piece, for example. Like my favorite character is Luffy, He's like the best. Like I watch One Piece mostly for Luffy. I love Luffy. So I'm very much, I guess, bland in that sense, if you will. But yeah, SpongeBob, hands down. Love SpongeBob.
That's a love show around here. My kid loves that. My wife loves that. That's their favorite show. So I'm like, oh, I guess.
That's probably the show I quote the most is probably SpongeBob.
It's so quotable. And there's so many like classic episodes, like it's funny. There was that Nosferatu came out recently, and Robert Eggers, the director, got asked a bunch of times about the Nosferatu reference in SpongeBob. So it's just such a cultural phenomenon, just like Pokemon or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's definitely, I feel like a flagship of the 2000s for cartoons.
Is it over, or are new episodes still coming out? Or
I don't think it's over. I think it's still going strong. Yeah.
Wow.
I believe the creator died. I believe, or maybe I think it was the creator that passed away. I don't think it was the voice actor. I could be wrong. I could be getting it confused, but yeah, I believe it's still going on. And it's interesting. Oh my gosh, what's his name from the Penguin? Salvatore Maroni plays Mr. Krabs. He's the voice actor for Mr. Krabs. Yeah. So
no, we're never going to see the Penguin the same again.
Right? Yeah, I know. And when I was watching that show, I'm like, oh my god, it's Mr. Krabs. So I love SpongeBob. Like I said, I don't watch it anymore. I really don't have much motivation to like rewatch any of the flagship episodes or anything like that. I'm not a very nostalgic person, funny enough. I really am not. So yeah.
I'm huge in nostalgia. That's like my lifeblood.
I'm not. I don't know what it is. I just like new things more, I guess. I don't know. That's probably a deeper psyche conversation of Labruski we can have some time about nostalgia. So yeah, I mean, you guys have watched SpongeBob, it seems like.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's a great show.
So what's Minardi's favorite character?
Yeah, what is your favorite character? Okay.
Patrick Star. You want to be hiding under a rock.
What about you, Adam?
I have to say Sandy. High energy, craziness.
Sandy's cool. Kane, how are you? Hope you're doing well. SpongeBob is still a great show. Good show. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the newer episodes, but the first few seasons was gold. Just fantastic stuff. So
I think SpongeBob was one of those shows too where my parents didn't mind watching it because it had like some of those innuendo jokes, you know, that only adults would understand. And I think that was one of the few shows, along with like Johnny Bravo and I think like Dexter's Laboratory, that they actually wouldn't mind watching, and they'd be laughing at stuff, and I'd be looking at them like, what are they laughing at?
Some of those jokes went over your head, all of our heads, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
When I was first watching it. Yeah. SpongeBob. And I remember the movie coming out, and there was a video game, the Battle of Bikini Bottom, which is still a great video game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great video game. And
Yep.
I think SpongeBob is, another franchise that's just so profitable, and that's why it's not ending anytime soon. Corbin, do you guys remember Static Shock? DC posted about it, and I forgot about it for a bit. Solid show. I know about it. I never watched it, but I hear good things.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I think I was watching when it was getting broadcast. It was with Animaniacs. It was after, I think, Static Shock or something like that on cable.
What was it?
At least it was the same Animaniacs.
I'm drawing a blank on that show.
It has all crazy shenanigans and stuff like that.
It
was on WB.
I don't know if that was before your time or not. Not that makes me sound like I'm saying you're like super younger. I'm just saying like I think that was like kind of when we were kids and you were a kid, just a younger kid,
Sure. Yeah, it was. No, I get that. And I'll be honest too. Another thing, I never really watched or liked Cartoon Network when I was growing up. I always watched, because there was always 3 channels for kids. I feel like in my mind growing up, the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and then Cartoon Network, and it would switch between Disney Channel and Nickelodeon is my favorite. And Cartoon Network, it was always like, I'll see what's on, I guess, if there's nothing else on. But I just never really liked those shows on Cartoon Network too much. I don't know why.
Toonami made it like everyone's life amazing.
Yep.
I don't know. And I wish I did watch some of those shows on Cartoon Networks growing up, like Adventure Time. But I feel like Adventure Time came out when I was like early teens, so I probably wouldn't have watched it anyhow. But it was always Nickelodeon or like Disney Channel for me. Those were the 2 that I really loved growing up.
I was a Cartoon Network guy. I never touched Disney Channel at all, not even once.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know who Selena Gomez was until she started acting in movies. And then sometimes I would go on to Nickelodeon, but I was Cartoon Network through and through.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We're very different. I'm starting to learn.
Well, that's a good thing too. I think that's a good thing. Wait, Labruski wasn't rocking that Johnny Bravo? I was not. Nuts.
Another great show.
Sorry to say. WB Kids was the channel back in there. I don't even know.
That's why I had Static Shock and all that other craziness.
Was that like? Was that like
Fox Kids, like Kane was talking about? Ooh.
Was that like pre-Cartoon Network? Probably, because I feel like that wasn't even a channel when I was a kid.
It was a time slot. It wasn't like just this channel that was going over. It was a time slot, kind of like the Fox Kids was, where you ended up having like, I think Fox Kids had like the Power Rangers and all VR Troopers, which was weird because it's the exact same thing with suits, but not as big. But
it wasn't an actual channel. It was because I remember WB Kids. The WB channel was 14 on my childhood TV, and WB Kids was on that same channel. It was just like early in the morning, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Or when they got off the bus or anything like that. I would say it's just a time slotted area where I ended up coming over with it. Because that WB had like Freakazoid and stuff like that, Static Shock.
Yep.
I think that was before my time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we never watched that. You watched Toonami when you got back from school, because
what's that?
That was the awesome shows.
Yeah, I don't know. It was always Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel. Those were the 3 channels for like kids, which I think Disney Channel just shut down this year. Like last week, it shut down.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I have zero nostalgia to rewatch any of those shows. Like none. So I don't know. But Adam, what is your next cartoon show you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to try saving it last, but we started talking about Cartoon Network and a little bit about Toonami Action. That's where some of these people could get exposed to this. What I'm known for, Thundercats.
Thundercats.
I didn't watch it live. I watched it mainly on VHS. I had like 5 episodes that I've watched of it. And like the first episode, I went through like 3 tapes of it. And I know it line for line where the wife challenged me, and we were talking about the different types because I had some bootleg that has the VHS version, but the stuff that it's official is the stuff that's recorded, or not recorded, but broadcast. So I had extra things. She's like, I got you. I'm like, nope, mine's longer.
That's awesome.
See, I really don't know much about Thundercats at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was even a little before my time. I remember my brother was really into Thundercats. Thundercats and He-Man was his jam when he was a kid. So when I was coming up, that was kind of just before I started to, I guess, watch cartoons and be able to know what I'm watching as a child. But yeah, I definitely remember a lot of toys being passed down to me that were Thundercat toys and He-Man toys, and on just that barbarian aesthetic that kind of Thundercats exist in. But Adam actually put me onto the most recent Thundercats ongoing comic book, which I did enjoy. I plan to pick up volume 2, and I think you might like it, Labruski, because it can be like your first taste of Thundercats. And then worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you just drop it. But it'd be cool for you to check it out and read it.
Maybe I'll check it out digitally and read it.
Yeah, that works too. You do like that digital reading.
I'd give it a go. Okay, Kane. For Disney, my shows were Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, the Little Mermaid TV series, Aladdin TV series. I'd love for the Little Mermaid and Aladdin to be on Disney Plus so I can see it again. Okay, interesting. See, when I was growing up, those weren't shows on Disney Channel. There was really mostly live action stuff on Disney Channel. Zack and Cody, Wizards of Waverly Place, Anna Montana, stuff like that. I'm trying to think of others. I don't know. Those are the 3 that I think of. So yeah, I didn't really grow up with those either. Kane says 2011 Thundercats reboot was amazing. I still say it was canceled. Adam, do you share that same belief?
Yes, I actually went diving into that. I went diving hugely into it, and they ended up actually having more storyline that was coming out, and it was actually really gearing up, and it was a really good, solid series. However, the reason why that ended up getting canceled is because of lack of toy sales was the big reason. And as much as they wanted to, the upper management wanted that to fail because they ended up switching time slot after different time slots for it. But that show was still being a lifeline with it.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Awesome. So Thundercats. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Thundercats, to be honest with you.
What's unique?
Kane bringing up that 2011 Thundercats, that was like a brain blast. I completely forgot about that show. I just typed it into Google and I got like obviously some images and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, I do remember watching this.
Yeah.
One fact about this, you have Larry Kinney that was in all of them so far. So in the original Thundercats, he plays Lion-O. In the 2011 series, he plays Claudus, which is Lion-O's dad. And the one that I'm not going to speak of, he plays Jaga, because that was so bad. It ended up not even having a full season that came out of it. Like everyone got canceled.
Oh, geez.
Which one was that?
Thundercats Roar. I mean, what?
I want to see what that is.
Interesting.
It is horrendous. I didn't even watch an episode of it. It was so bad.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right away. I see. Yeah. I'll stay away from that too.
That's in the bag where Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 movie is. That's with that.
Okay.
Or forgetting about it.
Got it. Okay. Kane says the He-Man show on Netflix is pretty good. I did hear that. I I didn't grow up with the Masters of the Universe. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that show. So I don't know. I never really watched
about He-Man. There's a couple different ones that they have on there. The one by Kevin Smith, because Kevin Smith ended up doing a continuum from the original He-Man, and that's the one that's amazing. They have, what was it, resolutions, revelations, and stuff like that. That was amazing. I ended up watching that at least 10 times now because it's so quick, so awesome animated. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. It's not as hokey or as slow and as teaching as the original one was, where at the end of each episode you end up, well, the moral of this story was
right. Got it. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll try to watch that if it's on Netflix. Let's see. Okay, I think we're all caught up on the chat. Cool. So Thundercats, I will maybe I'll try to check out that comic and explore the Thundercats universe a little bit. We'll see. Give it a go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here, let me highlight you. Show that again real quick, Adam. Okay, cool.
That's the first issue, so, and I think that's the one that's on the first trade.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay, so it's collected now in a trade?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually 2 trades now, I think. You got 2 trades that came out.
Awesome. All right. Mr. Lumen Nerdy, what is your next
volume has that
cartoon?
That's a good cover.
That is cool.
So my next cartoon is going to be a cartoon that I watched and I should not have been watching, which is the Spawn animated series. It came on Max and it was 100% geared towards older people than when I was watching it. But I said before in previous streams, Spawn was one of my early comics. We didn't really have a rule where we weren't allowed to watch this or read this because it was for adults. We just did whatever we wanted, and if we acted up, we usually got smacked in the head or something like that, so we knew better. But yeah, so it's a great show. Still holds up today. I think, at least. Maybe that's nostalgia speaking, but Keith David, the voice of Spawn, still probably the voice I hear when I read Spawn, just perfectly characterized through his voice when it comes to that character. And then I vaguely remember, which somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it opened up with like Todd McFarlane speeches and stuff like that, which I remember being like my first exposure to Todd McFarlane and Image and everything like that. So great show. I do recommend watching it even now. I think there's like 3 or 4 seasons or something, but they're all great.
I believe it's all on Max too.
Yes. Yep.
I have heard good things about that. I think it does hold up. I haven't watched it, but I feel like I've heard that it holds up pretty well today. So yeah, interesting. Okay. Maybe I'll try to watch that. I don't know. I haven't read any Spawn, any comics or anything like that. I hear they're kind of hit or miss too. I've heard
you don't have to read any Spawn, and I honestly think that the TV show kind of is more palatable than the comics. Like the comics has so many aspects that are a little dated and kind of even hokey at points, especially when it comes to some of the dialogue. But the TV show is put together like a legitimate thing that was trying to take itself serious. It's not I mean,
like
it's
the
comic
Boys
booky,
TV
but
show.
yeah, kind of.
Is it like how the Boys TV show is a lot better than the comic?
Oh no, because you're wrong about that.
I haven't read The Boys. I have the entire set. I just haven't read it yet. I'm a little bit afraid.
Sell them.
You can be the deciding factor. Labruski says the show's better. I say the comic's better. You watch and read both, and then you can report back.
Well, I watched the show. I love the show.
Show's great.
What made me want to buy the books to be able to find out, because normally the books are better than what the show is.
Yeah, and I think The Boys is a rare example of the TV show or adaptation outperforming the source material in like every way. I do not like the comic at all. I really don't. And I like Garth Ennis. Like I love the Preacher. Or Preacher, it's not the Preacher. So I don't know. I like Garth Ennis. He's okay. You know, Preacher's definitely Preacher's like one of my favorite comics, honestly. I need to reread that soon, actually. So I don't know.
I'm looking at the shelf. Looks like I'm getting homework. What's that? Looks like I'm getting homework from the show.
Yes,
I have to read all 3 volumes of The Boys.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick read. I think you
won't be able to understand
it.
I like the TV show so much more. I really do.
Okay,
but
I can't.
we'll have to do a full video on it where we all reread or read The Boys for the first time or the second time, whatever, and go from there.
That's fair. And then we can debate it. We can duke it out. It can be like a presidential debate, but just covering The Boys.
We'll show up all in suits, you know. Yeah, that'll be funny. Awesome. Okay, I think it's my turn.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, the next show I'm going to talk about is The Simpsons. The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons to this day. It became a tradition. My uncle would always get me and my siblings he'll always get us a new season of The Simpsons for Christmas Eve. We would get to open up on Christmas Eve. So I would spend my Christmas Eve just watching a new season of The Simpsons. And he stopped that tradition years ago. I mean, 10 plus years ago. So, but I have very fond memories of watching The Simpsons and loving The Simpsons. And yeah, I love The Simpsons. I really do. So
can we talk about how much they forecast the future? They're like a psychic.
Yeah,
in The Simpsons.
it's interesting.
Crazy accurate too.
How many predictions they made.
Yeah,
really. And yeah,
it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah,
makes you wonder. So yeah, The Simpsons is a show I grew up with, and I do have some nostalgia for it. And I've tried to rewatch it a couple times, and I don't know. There isn't that same feel for me there. So I don't know, but I do enjoy it. I like the property as a whole.
Have you watched Futurama before?
I've tried to get into Futurama plenty of times because my roommates in college loved Futurama. They would always have that on and like King of the Hill. And it was really King of the Hill and Futurama. My one roommate would just cycle through those two and like a couple others like Archer, and I'm trying to think what else, but he would just watch those shows on repeat. He'd finish one and then just rewatch the other.
Yeah.
So I did watch some of it through that, but I have tried to watch it on my own, and I don't know. I just could never get into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same but opposite. Like Simpsons,
Okay.
We also had a tradition where like we would eat dinner at the table, and right around dinner time, a episode of Simpsons would come on, and we would watch that. But I'm not super diehard about Simpsons. When I try to watch it, it's just not there. I don't enjoy it. There are some episodes I enjoy, but typically I'm not like super fond of Simpsons. But Futurama, man, like I remember watching that specifically in high school. They would play it, I think it was on Adult Swim.
Probably.
I do know it was later at night, but I would just binge watch like 4 episodes and then pass out, and it was so good. So much. I feel like it's like Simpsons, but there's some serious tones to it where they tackle some touchy topics, and that one episode specifically that has to deal with Fry and how he gets into the future. I mean, that has almost made me cry every time I've watched it because of the dog that is featured in that episode. But yeah, just that I do recommend trying to power through on because it is so good.
It's avoided cancellations so many times. Futurama has like, oh my goodness, it's like a story of what you ended up seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've tried to get into it a few times, and each time I don't know. I'm just not interested in it, I guess. But it is very tonally different from The Simpsons. Like I feel like The Simpsons is a little more family friendly and a little more like heartfelt and stuff, whereas Futurama is not that. Not. It can be a little more. It's more adult to me. Futurama is in a lot of ways. So, Corbin says Simpsons is so tied to a lot of family time before the internet for me. And Futurama, Kane says, is still a watchable show. My dad still catches the reruns in the morning. We'll watch The Simpsons too. It's one. I'll watch it. Yeah. And I know Futurama's back. I think I feel like they just came out with a new season. Now they're coming out with more. So it's on Hulu, I believe.
I think it's on Hulu.
Yep. And they're doing that with King of the Hill, which I do like King of the Hill. So I'm very much excited for that. Bob's Burger is another show I can watch without getting tired of it. I tried to get into Bob's Burger too, and I've watched a good amount of Bob's Burgers, and I don't know. It doesn't do it for me, but it is a well-made show. And Kane says Seymour, the goodest of boys. That's Fry's dog, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Right in the feels every time, man.
So Corbin says it aired on Comedy Central when I was a kid. Yeah, so it was probably Comedy Central. Cool. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to give Futurama another go. But yeah, watch that new season. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'll have to. I didn't even know that, so I'll be checking that out.
Yeah, I think there's.
See, I'm not the only one getting homework.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Adam, I believe it's your turn. Do you have another show you want to talk about?
So I'm going to go with one of them that they do always teach a message in and have the little son of a gun. They're going to talk about this. How about Captain Planet and the Planeteers?
Okay. Never watched it. Never watched it.
Labruski has more homework than anybody.
Yeah.
There's even a spoof video where you have John Cheeto as Captain Planet making everyone into a tree. Come on.
I have seen that. And I've seen Rick and Morty. They parody that show too. So I've seen that. So I know of it, but yeah.
Okay.
I know of it. I just never watched it. So
yeah, that's another one that's a little like when you try to rewatch it now in modern day, it's a little dated also, like the animation style, but man, was it like, I mean, it was so ahead of the time when it came to like trying to teach these peace, love on Earth and saving the planet messages and stuff into a cartoon show and making, the kids play a major role in the hero existing and saving the day and everything like that. Like, man, that was a pretty solid show for the times back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was going over teaching and everything. It's crazy how much you ended up actually having to focus on that. But then you like watch it nowadays, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is like definitely telling you exactly what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I might skip that one out of the ones we talked about. I don't know if it interests me, but Kane loves it. She mentioned it earlier. I love Captain Planet. Still do. I think I've got to get the series on DVD. Yeah. Yeah. I imagine maybe it will be out of print.
So Captain Planet is still Kane's hero. He's going to make Evil Governor's Code down to 0.
What's that?
Captain Planet is still his hero or her hero. It's going to make Evil Scum come down to 0. That's like the big thing that they ended up having over with it. Because you end up having the theme song that you have to look up the theme song. You have to listen to the theme song.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's catchy as anything.
All right. I'll do that much. I'll listen to the theme song. How about?
And Labruski's got to look it up. He's going to say, I think I'm going to skip this too.
Corbin says, bro, haha, these were the shows being rotated out as I was growing up.
Yep.
Yeah, they were not the shows that were being rotated out as I was growing up. Kane says, remember, this is the only planet that has bacon. We must save it at all costs. Well, we don't know that for sure, technically. I mean, if you think about it, we could assume that, but do we know it for 100%? No, there could be plenty of other planets. There could be a planet made out of bacon. I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
Planet made out of bacon? Mind blown.
It'd be very greasy. I don't know if I'd want to be there, but Kane, I do get your message. It's a very important message. All right. Tyler, what's your next show?
So my next show, it's going to be a 2-for-1, but it's kind of like a continuation. I've talked about it probably a million times in other live streams at this point, but it is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. This was and still is my favorite cartoon that I've ever watched. I still watch episodes and fight scenes from this series because it was so well done. You have Justice League that follows your main Justice League members as they essentially obviously save the planet. And then it works into Justice League Unlimited, which becomes this massive DC Universe wide show where you have your main Justice League roster, but then you have other characters that are either obscure or less known or C-list characters all making an appearance. And it is so phenomenal. It is well animated. It still holds up today. There is a perfect focus on each individual character. Like, there is never a point where the show focuses on Batman or Superman for 5 episodes straight. Like, you always get a little taste of each individual character, especially when you get to Justice League Unlimited, where you get those little tidbit episodes of lesser known heroes. And they do a good job where they tell a story that follows the main Justice League members. And then the next episode following will be a more obscure team. And then they'll follow it with another main Justice League roster and then an obscure team. So they'll keep staggering it like that. There is a handful of times where they don't do that. If a storyline spans multiple episodes, which there is some that do that, but overall incredible. Some of the best choreographed fight scenes are from that series when it comes to DC superheroes. Superman versus Captain Atom, Superman versus Shazam, Superman versus Darkseid, the all-female, which I forget the name of the episode, but there's an episode where it features all female characters and they are just beating the crap out of each other in a underground fight club for superheroes. It is so good. And if you haven't watched it, Labruski, you're missing out, man. This is one you do want to watch. I promise you it holds up.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. That's been And I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the show. In the Discord, we're doing the Saturday morning cartoon. So we're just picking a show and watching every episode or majority of the episodes. And that's one I think I will have to add to the watch list. I think we haven't decided on which one we're starting out with. And that's starting, Kane, correct me if I'm wrong, it's starting next Saturday, the 17th or the 18th. And that's going to be at 11 a.m., I believe. Kane, correct me if I'm wrong again. And it's going to run for an hour. So we'll probably watch 2 or 3 episodes. So I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I mean, I hear so much good things about Justice League Unlimited. And I do wish I grew up with that and watched that when I was a kid, because I'm sure I would have dug it so much. And
let me see when it aired.
I will have to check that out again.
That's one I didn't really watch growing up, but I ended up watching it later on like Netflix and all that, was able to binge it. Oh my goodness. That's definitely a series that's going to be amazing, especially if you end up finishing off the Justice League and then you go into Justice League Unlimited and everything. It's definitely quality work and everything. Plus, it's going to have that same style that you have from the Batman animated show.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, and this came out very similar to what you said with SpongeBob. This came out at like the perfect time for me. So this came out like, I think when I was like 7 or 8, and I think Justice League Unlimited came out later after that. So maybe 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. But this is like golden age Tyler, just jumped into comic books, just kind of starting to read comic books. And then suddenly I'm finding TV shows that feature these superheroes that I've been reading about. And it was like just perfect. It was like the stars aligning, where I found this new hobby, this new thing that I like, that me and my brother do together. And then suddenly I find this show, and now I get to see them fly around, run around, beat the crap out of their rogues gallery. It was just perfect timing. But the episode that I do recommend everyone to watch, if they haven't already, is I guess it's the animated adaptation of For the Man That Has Everything, which is a story from Superman Annual that essentially follows Superman being trapped in a nightmarish, which it doesn't feel like a nightmare to him, but being stuck in a nightmare by the character of Mongol and having to be saved by Wonder Woman and Batman. So if comics aren't your thing, or if For the Man That Has Everything is a little bit too dated of a comic to read, then watch that adaptation, because it pays respect pretty well to it and keeps it almost panel for panel authentic to the comic book, at least.
Cool. Okay. All right. So Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Jake
yeah,
will be telling you about
that. What's that?
Jake will be telling you about the Christmas special where it has Martian the Manhunter gets given a sweatshirt. I can't remember what episode that was, but he gets given a sweatshirt from the Mama Kent, and it's all too big. He's like, I'll just grow into it. And he gets all pumped up into it because he could shapeshift and all that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to add that to the Discord watch party list. And I hope to see everyone there at some point. It would be awesome. Cool. So I think it's my turn, right? Yeah, you just want to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is a show I should not have been watching at all. It's a very inappropriate show, even for adults. I feel like it's very inappropriate. And it is it's South Park. I remember watching South Park. I mean, I was like 11 or 12, and my parents let me. Like, I didn't sneak it. Like, they let me. And like, looking back, I'm like, they definitely should have not let me watch any South Park episodes. But they were cool parents. They still are. They're alive and well, so don't worry. But Yeah, they let me watch South Park, and I mean, most of it I did not understand it at all. So I don't really know why I was watching it when I did, because I guarantee like 75% of the jokes right over my head. But I have
thing though.
What's that?
That was probably a culture thing, because that was a big thing that everyone was ended up watching. And did you watch the latest South Park? Did you not watch it? It's kind of like the Dawson's Creek or whatever back in that day. Oh my God, did you see that? What just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. South Park, I love the show to this day though. I've rewatched it last year, and I've rewatched it like twice now, like all the episodes.
It's still going.
I love the show. I think it's very clever, and the satire is like so perfect at times, and it is a very offensive show, very much so. But I don't know. I just love it. I really do, and yeah, I think it's a great animated show. It's fantastic.
Would you say you've watched every episode at this point?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I definitely. Yeah. I feel like, because now if I rewatch it, I know like what episodes I really don't like, so I skip them. So I feel like I've probably seen every episode. Yeah.
Isn't that still an ongoing thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would guess it is. I don't know.
I think it's way better than like Family Guy 2 and any of the other like adult animated shows.
Holy crap, there's 26 seasons altogether.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I don't like Family Guy. I think Family Guy's a stupid show, to be honest with you. And it's not clever, and it's not a smart show. But South Park is like the opposite. Like, it is, if you think about it, it's like, okay, what are they trying to say? And the way they say some things is like, oh, I don't know, that's messed up. But it's clever in a lot of ways, you know.
Do you know off the top of your head what your favorite episode is? Because I know what my favorite episode is, but what would you say yours is?
I don't off the top of my head. I would have to think about it, to be honest with you.
God, I gotta look at the seasons here now, thinking about that.
Oh,
it looks like it stopped over in 2023 is the last one I see on the list. Is March 29th, 2023. As it released on TV.
Jeez.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they're still coming out with seasons, or they plan to at least, but maybe not. One that sticks out to me that I really like is the Blockbuster episode with Randy, and it's like a Halloween episode too, and I love Halloween episodes, so that's definitely one where I would rewatch it again. Yeah. What about you? What's yours?
Definitely the Jersey Shore episode.
Okay, that one's great too.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. When the Jersey Shore comes to South Park, right? Yeah.
Yep. And Snooki, the famous depiction of Snooki. Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That one's a great one too. There's actually it's kind of a there was an episode in the early 2000s about Al Gore, and the premise is comparing how Al Gore would go on about climate change, and it was kind of making fun of that. And so in the show, they have Al Gore being obsessed with this Sasquatch. I can't remember the name of the creature, of this Sasquatch creature that he's convinced is real, and it's revealed in the show that it's not, it's a hoax, and they're kind of comparing that to climate change. And years later, probably in like 2018, 2019, they did a follow-up episode to that with Al Gore coming back, and it turns out he was right. The creature is real. So it's comparing this creature to climate change, and how the creators kind of switch their opinions, where they're like, oh no shit, this climate change is real, and in the show, the creature is real and terrorizes South Park, and it's such a good episode. Those two, it's like a two-parter, I think. And it's so good. It's just funny how 20 years later they bring it back, and yeah, I just love it. I just think it's a smart show.
That is awesome.
Kane says Family Guy is just not good. Agreed. It's such a stupid show.
Yeah. Yep.
Such a stupid show. And it's funny. Seth MacFarlane did a show recently called Ted, and it's based off of the Ted movies, you know, but it's a prequel series. And I watched that when that was coming out, and it was really good. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting it to be this funny. And it was. So I do recommend, that's not a cartoon or anything, but it was surprisingly fun. It was surprisingly fun. Kane does not agree. Ted is not good either.
Yeah.
Kane, watch the show though. It's very different from the movies. And it's really good. I'm gonna rewatch that, I think, soon. Because I need a new show to watch now.
What's his name? Seth, what was it?
Seth MacFarlane.
I don't find him funny at all.
I don't really either, but
okay.
Ted was a good show. And I don't know, maybe he didn't really have much to do with it.
Because didn't he do like a movie like 1,000 Ways to Die in the West or something like that?
Yeah,
like
a million ways to die in the West.
Yeah, I hated that also. Like I just don't like his humor at all.
Yeah, I don't either, but Ted caught me off guard. And I was like, whoa, this is really funny. And you really kind of care about the characters in a weird way. And there's this very human and emotional level to the characters that I was not expecting. So I don't know if he was really behind the show or the writing of it at all. I have to Google it, but it is a good show. If you're bored, I think it's on Peacock or Paramount, one of the two.
A Million Ways to Die in the West. Yeah.
Yep.
Kane agrees. I just don't like his humor. It's very off-putting to me. I agree with you guys for the most part, but I think Ted is the exception to the rule. And I found out today they're doing a second season, so I'm like, oh heck yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
You want a Star Trek fan or a Trekkie? Because you'll get fun thing with the Orville. That was pretty hilarious just because of what it ends up doing with that. It's not animated, but
I do know what you're talking about, that show. Yeah, I haven't watched that. I'm not a Star Trek guy, honestly. There was a Black Mirror episode. Do you guys watch that show?
I watched one episode, and that's where I
hate that show so much. It's not even funny. And like, I will recognize a lot of people love it. It's a well-made show, but it is so messed up. I'm like, I do not want to watch this show ever. You know, it's like an anthology kind of horror thing where it takes a look at like technology, and there's always like this. It's just so disturbing. A lot of those episodes messed me up. And my brother, I'm going on a tangent now here. I'm just going to go on it. Whenever me and my brother would have friends over and stuff, my brother would be like, let's turn on Black Mirror. I'm like, Nick, no, we're not watching that show. It's not a fun show to watch with your buddies. Like, it's a messed up freaking show. I hate that show so much. I really do.
But anyhow, how craziness that could end up happening with the culture and everything.
Yeah, I'll recognize like it's a well-made show. I'm sure the writing's very good, you know. But it's too messed up for me. Like, it's so depressing. Like, I watch that show. I'm like, where's my Prozac? I got to pop some Prozac here. And I don't even take Prozac. Anyhow. There's a Star Trek episode that parodies it. And so ever since watching that, I'm just like, I have no interest in Star Trek because I associate it with that show. So blame that show for me not wanting to watch Star Trek. All right.
Shots fired by Labruski. Screw you, Black Mirror.
There's a hot take.
There's another season coming out too. I don't know. It's just such a depressing show, and I hate it. Like, I can handle certain stuff, but that show, it's like just so grim and dark because you're like, this is like a realistic take on the future. Like, why do I don't want to watch this? It's sad.
And here we are. We just decided next week's episode of All in One is about Black Mirror. We're all going to watch Black Mirror and talk about it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Do it.
No way am I doing that. Sorry.
At least you get to see Salma Hayek. The first episode.
No, too messy.
Not enough.
No thank you.
Oh no. Don't dust to dawn.
All right, enough about Black Mirror. Oh, sidebar. I rewatched all of Invincible. I rewatched the first season and then I watched the second season. So I'm all caught up now for our Invincible episode, our Invincible episode when the third season comes out.
It's a great show.
Nice. Yeah,
and
I've watched that a few times.
I thought the second season was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's as good as the first. It is in some regard, but like it was not very. It was climactic, but compared to the first season, it was not climactic at all.
I agree.
But it was still
I feel
good.
that same way about that in the comics too. You have the first initial wave because obviously the show follows the same storylines as the comic, and that in between the Invincible War and the beginning is kind of the lull of the series where they were trying to put some building blocks in place to build up to something larger.
Yeah.
But that's the weakest point of Invincible, which would be season 2.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like it wasn't a bad show, and I wouldn't even say it was like boring. Like it kept my interest. But it was not as exciting, I guess, as the first season.
Well, that's when you have to be throwing the wall. You have to get it to be able to make money and all that, especially like when you're talking about the comics. Oh, I gotta get the people hooked on this. It's gotta be over. It's gotta have this action. It's gotta have that. Oh, now we're established. Now let's do this. The exact same thing with the show. Here we go. So, here's the action. We gotta get you hooked.
Yeah,
have the Invincible hook or
for sure.
Addiction.
And it worked. I mean, Invincible is like so popular. Even for non-comic book fans, it's very popular. So I am excited to see where the show goes. Because I have read all the comics, so I have an idea, but I don't remember much. Like I remember stuff that happens in the comics, but like a lot of the in-between stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea really what happens. My memory when it comes to remembering storylines and stuff, and I think I've said this before, is just like gone. Like horrible at remembering what happens in a book. So it's kind of nice because then I can go back and reread something a year later and kind of have it be fresh. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about that on the show when that comes out. But back to our topic of the show, Adam, do you have any other shows you want to talk about?
So I kind of want to do a twofer, if that's okay with it.
Go for it.
Because I think they came out with the same thing. How about the X-Men and Spider-Man?
Okay.
That entire time frame that came over with it.
Yeah.
Where I know with the X-Men, we ended up having X-Men 97 that continued on with that. But that's what you ended up watching Fox for.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. I feel like I've heard too they're doing like a Spider-Man revival of this, like Spider-Man 97, where they're bringing it back, that show.
I hope so.
I feel like that was confirmed. Maybe it was just a rumor.
I was hearing that or Spectacular Spider-Man. Either one wasn't too bad, but
okay. I think that was primarily a rumor due to the final episode of X-Men 97 where you see Spider-Man and people were saying, oh, this is a hint that they're revamping Spider-Man 2. So I don't think there's anything official. I do think they are going to do it, but I just think it's a rumor at this point.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Because I haven't watched all of X-Men 97. I didn't finish it. But that's Illuminati. That's okay. That you just spoiled that. Ruined the show. How far along did you get? What's that?
How far along did you get in 97?
I think I only watched 2 episodes because I watched.
And you watched 5.
I need to watch
5.
Yes,
it was up for awards. Yes, you have to watch 5.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll I do need a new show to watch. I was going to rewatch Ted, which I think I still will, but I'll give X-Men 97 a go. I didn't not like the show or anything like that. I just watched it with the Omni Bros. They did a monthly hangout last year when the show was coming out around this time. I think it was February, maybe March. And when the first 2 episodes dropped, they watched it.
Number 5 is seen as like the best episode of X-Men 97.
Yes.
All right. All right. I'll watch it. I'll give it a go. Why not? Cool. So, I mean, your show, X-Men, and then the Spider-Man. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched either, which I know is crazy, but I don't know.
I may die during this stream.
So with X-Men, the later seasons, it kind of tails right off.
Okay.
But the first few seasons are amazing, which you do have an omnibus that you could end up reading in the first 3 seasons of it that kind of talks about it, but it's not the same experience. It's definitely something that you should end up watching, especially if you end up doing it. Like, you get crazy about it. You want to watch the original X-Men that goes and then go into X-Men 97. That's where you're going to end up getting the good stuff. Well, and actually understand the Easter eggs.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a show that we'll try to watch on the Saturday morning cartoons when we do that. I think next weekend, we start that. Is the original X-Men show and probably the Spider-Man show too. So yeah, I mean, I'm very open to watching either of those shows. But you gotta like it when I was growing up. I mean, they weren't really on reruns. In the mid 2000s, they weren't really doing reruns of those shows. I feel like
yeah,
it wasn't my fault, guys.
I think I was more shocked that you haven't watched X-Men 97. I think I was more shocked about that than that.
Okay. Yeah.
The original show.
Mean, there's no nostalgia there for me, so I didn't really have much desire to continue with it. But I will give it a go for you, Adam. I will watch
my question to Adam is, okay, so you did a twofer, you chose Spider-Man and X-Men. But let's say you can't choose both. What are you walking away with, and what are you leaving behind between X-Men or Spider-Man?
You're gonna be doing that. Oh God.
Yeah.
So that means I either turn my back on Wolverine or turn my back on Spidey. Oh God, dang it.
Yep.
Oh. I hate to do it. I'm forcing the corner though. I'm gonna keep Spidey and get rid of X-Men. Wow. Just because that's why I watched more of it growing up. That's why I ended up watching a lot of that growing up.
I appreciate your answer. That's my answer too. So, and the main reason is, one, I watched more of it, but also, even though the 2 shows were made very close to the same time frame, Spider-Man is just, it has the benefit of a little bit more advanced technology when it comes to the animation, and it's just a little bit more palatable, a little bit more modern when it comes to the animation style, where the X-Men animation or animated series is a little bit more still stoic and stick-like when it comes to the movements. But Spider-Man was like, man, I remember so many of those episodes and just loving specifically Venom in that with the red and blue light shades on his symbiote costume. Man, just so iconic.
As I say, that's amazing. They came over with that, with the different art styles like you're talking about, and then how deep dive they went into different things. And like, I know I've heard people talk about the movies and everything, and I know it sounds dumb, but I did not like the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man because of one simple thing. There was no web shooters. I felt like that's the main key part to it, where you end up seeing that last second change. Is he going to splat, or is he going to keep on going? Is he going to get that change?
Yeah, Adam's team, web shooters, no organic webs for Adam. We've settled that right here.
That's my hot take. Web shooters.
I'm on the same team. I'm on the same team, so I'm not going to crucify you for it.
I could go either way.
You like organic web shooters?
I mean, I would prefer non-organic, the actual web shooters. But I mean, I grew up with the Sam Raimi movies, and I wasn't reading Spider-Man comics as a kid, really. So that's how I know the character. So yeah, I don't know.
Go web, go. Yeah.
I remember when that movie came out, how blown away my friends were when I told them that that's not how the comic, that he had web shooters. They're like, not in the movie he shoots it out his wrist. I'm like, no, he has web shooters and he has to reload them and all this stuff. And it was just one of those moments where it was like, I know a detail you don't know, and it was just so great. It was so awesome.
Had that moment with the Hulk and everything with my dad. We went to see the first Hulk movie in theaters. I know we're putting that also in the vault, but he's like, what's wrong with it? Well, first off, he's jumping way too far and it doesn't even look like the Hulk. I mean, looks a little bit like the Hulk, but
here's my hot take. Now that everybody's had hot takes between Labruski not watching a bunch of TV shows, and Adam has had a few. My hot take is Hulk is a phenomenal movie.
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
With Bannon or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched that movie in years. So
I rewatched it, and it is, I'm telling you, it is great. I don't know. I think we had the wrong opinion on it. I'm telling you, it's great.
It sounds like we can do an episode on that.
Yes. I have to force myself to watch that.
Yeah.
Adam, we can we'll invite you back for that one. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. If that's my opinion, now I'll rewatch it because of that. That way.
Awesome.
I could say if he's all right about it, or if we have to be like, nope, I'm still going with Incredible Hulk first.
We'll just bash on Illuminati for an hour and a half on his bad hot take.
That sounds good. I like that.
So it sounds like we have a boys situation that we got, and then we have the Hulk situation.
Yes, very much so. Okay, cool. I think it's your turn, Tyler.
So I guess since Adam did a twofer with Spider-Man and X-Men, I'm gonna do a twofer, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, which probably a lot of you know which route I'm going, and that is, of course, Batman the animated series, and then Batman Beyond. I think this was, I want to say at this point, everybody's initiation into Batman. I am more of a Batman Beyond stan. I like Batman Beyond more than the animated series. That's mainly because it, again, has the benefit of technology. It's more well-rounded when it comes to the animation style and the storytelling. It's just a little bit more modernized, but you can watch them back to back. They feel very continuation-like, just very, very far apart when it comes to the times that the shows take place in. The first Batman anime series is essentially an episodic animated series. Every single episode is a new storyline that has to do with a different Batman rogue. It has a lot of stories that are...
Is it
Illuminati?
Is
no,
that
not confirmed. Not confirmed at all.
I think that's confirmed.
Not confirmed. Very strange. But yeah, so it has a lot of episodes that when it focuses on villain characters, you get to see a lot of gray in those characters and some of the humanization of those characters. And then into Batman Beyond, it's just absolutely awesome to see I don't even know what century it is. I don't know how far into the future it is. It's probably like year 2000. Yeah, you get to see super far into the future version of Gotham and what happens to the characters and how they evolve, and how Joker's no longer a character. You just kind of have the Joker gang, and you have a new Batman that's being trained by older Bruce Wayne, and he has a more advanced suit and technology, and it is so awesome. I'm a sucker for like Elseworld stories, and that's kind of what Batman Beyond felt like, and that's why I really liked that TV show.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's one where I really want to watch that. but I'm saving to watch it for the Saturday morning cartoons because I think I want that to be the first show, because I do really want to watch that. It seems like an awesome show. Like I like the setting, futuristic cyberpunk Gotham, awesome. And I hear nothing but good things about it. So I'm excited to finally watch that. I've seen like an episode or two, but
Adam's smiling, so I feel like it is set in the year 2000. Was I right?
So it's a distant year of 2019 is what it says.
Oh, wow.
Because I looked it up on Wikipedia. It says the story begins then distant year 2019. Agent Bruce Wayne, despite being in his 50s, continues to fight crime as Batman in a new high-tech Batman suit.
Yeah, such a distant year, 2019. Wow,
I know,
so far into the future.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah,
awesome. Adam, what are your thoughts on that show?
I think they're amazing. I've watched it. I've went over since it got onto streaming. I've watched them back to back, like Eminari was talking about, where you end up having the finish of Batman, and then you end up going to Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
I think it's a stellar art that ends up coming. And I only read the first volume, but I think the Batman Adventures omnibus is better than what the X-Men one was, because it actually has stories that were not retelling of it, but it actually has more original stories, adds more to that storyline for you.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Got it. You said that was the Batman Adventures omnibus?
Yep.
Okay. And that's more in line with the Batman animated show, right?
Yeah, it's it's in the same vein. It's not an adaptation like the X-Men animated series. But yeah, there it is there. And then there's a sister omnibus, which is the Batman and Robin Adventures omnibus, which is almost like kind of a continuation of such. Adam as he's whipping him out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorite omnis in my collection, is the X-Men animated series adaptions and the Batman Adventures, because if you grew up watching those shows, it's like spot on. It just translates so beautifully.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Tom of X. Laura Kinney is my favorite character, playing fire with fire. He. On another note, good to see you guys doing well today. Awesome, Dom of X. Hope you're doing well. I think we're all doing well here. I hope. Yeah. So Batman Beyond. That's one I want to watch for sure. I'm excited to kind of dive into that one and whatnot. So
I haven't read that compendium. They have a compendium that has Batman Beyond, but I haven't read that. Nor the Batman and Robin one.
Either Dom of X or Kane can tell me. I believe there's a Batman Beyond one where it's more material, like it continues the story. I want to say.
I think that is the compendium, but I'm sure Dom will confirm or deny. But my only exposure to him through the comics is Future's End, which is an event at DC that has Batman Beyond in it. But I didn't read the compendium stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called, if I'm remembering correctly. Hope I am.
If they had it as a hardcover, I would have that in my collection, to be honest. Just because then I could go watch the show. The soft covers and me don't mix too well. I'm surprised my saga is still all together.
Okay, cool. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah, Batman Beyond. I feel like there's a lot of talk about wanting to see Batman Beyond in either like another adaptation, whether it be like a live action thing, which I don't think we'll get anytime soon. But there was also a animated movie, I think, maybe it was just a made-up rumor, that was canceled. And then I believe there was also rumors of a Batman Beyond video game by the same people who did the Arkham video game Rocksteady, which I think that would be incredible. But So yeah, I wonder when we'll see that character in live in any other, form other than comic. Because I feel like, that, he's such a, popular character. And
so
it's an
on that
interesting story.
subject, technically, somewhat recently, we did see him in live action. There was a fan film that was put out on YouTube that is pretty well done. It is a fan film, but it's pretty high production. But if you do want to see some live action Batman Beyond action, you can watch that fan film. It's pretty solid.
I was praying that was going to be the situation where when they announced that they had Michael Keaton coming back, I was praying to God for an entire Batman Beyond situation, because I would love to end up seeing him be handing off the mantle to I thought because they had Patterson, I'm like, hell, he's going to be Batman Beyond. This is what's going to happen. Nope. It's an Elseworld story. Don't get.
Yep.
Nope. All right, cool. I think it's my turn, in which I only have one other show that I really want to talk about. And it's a show that I discovered in college, and I really loved it. And that is Gravity Falls. Have either of you watched Gravity Falls?
2 episodes. My kid loves the show. I just couldn't get right into it.
It's such a good show. It really is. I really encourage both of you to watch it.
Did not watch that.
It's so good. It's so good. I really hope they bring the show back. I would definitely watch it. Yeah. It's an awesome show. That's all I have to say about it. Watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Check it out.
The spokesman of Gravity Falls here.
Yeah, watch it. They just came out with, I think, a new book. It's not like a graphic novel.
My kid wanted it for Christmas or something like that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen pieces of it, but actually sit down and actually watching it, like I'll go over there to watch when the kid's watching on the big TV in the living room, but I'm like, nope.
I would encourage you to try it. They're, especially like in the last season, it gets surprisingly like intense. It's still a kid show, or aimed for kids. It's definitely one of the shows that's aimed for any age really. But it's, yes, James has a perfect analogy here. Gravity Falls is the X-Files, but for kids. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it for sure. But there is an overarching plot towards, in like the second, I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 or 3 seasons, but toward the end there is a bit of an overarching plot that's really just great. It's super good. And each episode is just a lot of fun. It deals with like spookier themes and monsters, and I just love that type of stuff. And in college, my roommates would always rave about this show, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. It was over winter break one time. It's like, I'll give it a shot, and I binged it. I really dug it. Yeah, it's just a great show.
Is that a somewhat recent watch for you, or?
It would have been 2021, the winter of 2021. I watched it. Yeah.
So about 4 years ago now.
Yeah. Oh my
legitimately
gosh.
4.
Oh my gosh. But
yeah, we're at 2025. Hold on.
Yeah, about 4 years ago now. I would have watched it for the first time, which is insane to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. I have not even heard of that. I Googled it because memory.
There's a big fan base for it. Almost like a cult following too, where people who are adults now are like discovering it, and it's a deeper show than what it appears to be. Corbin asked, "Do I have the Book of Bill?" I do not have the Book of Bill, but I believe the 3rd one just came out. I believe, Adam, you said your kid was asking for that.
He is looking at it, but I think he is. Let's see, dig it up here. Gravity Falls, right?
Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
And it should be on Disney Plus. And it's just such a good show. It really is.
I might have to watch that. X-Files, but for kids, kind of hooked me.
I think the creator of that show and Rick and Morty are friends. They reference each other in their shows, I believe. Well, there's this YouTuber, H3H3. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He does a podcast, and he had the creator of Gravity Falls and then the creator of Rick and Morty on together. So I think they are friends. I mean, the creator of Rick and Morty is like a bad dude, Justin Roiland. A lot of like controversy came out with him over COVID, and yeah, just not a good dude. So, and I mean that doesn't really tie into the creator of Gravity Falls, but
so the Book of Bill came out in July 23rd of 2024. So it came out last year.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have it, but seems cool.
So your opinion on the creator, so you're not a Rick and Morty fan, I take it then?
I do like Rick and Morty. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've seen like the newer stuff. It's one of those shows where I've rewatched it quite a few times. So I know like which episodes I like more and which ones I don't. But I do like it. Yeah. I like Rick and Morty for the most part.
Random, show me what you got.
Yeah. What about you? Do you guys like Rick and Morty or no?
I have a friend that tried to get me into it. Like he played his favorite episodes. He was like, this is the best episode. Like you watch this, you're going to be hooked. And I think it had something to do with a gay dragon.
I know what you're talking about.
Is that ringing a bell at all?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And it's one of those things where like I can watch it and I can be like, wow, I get why people like this, but it's just, I don't think it's for me type of thing. Like, it's just, I think it's a little too like psychedelic-y, it's a little too out there when it comes to, time travel and all this stuff. And then the uncle that's like, throwing up 24/7 plasma out his mouth or whatever. It's just
that's a grandpa.
A little out there for me. Oh, grandpa. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little out there, but I do want to try again because I do hear that it is good.
Yeah.
So I plan to try again, but we'll see.
I would give it a go. I like it. I do like it. A lot of people don't like the newer seasons, and I can't really remember if I've even watched the newer seasons, honestly. But like the first season's pretty good. The second season's pretty good. And I even like the third. A lot of people don't though, but I think the first 3 seasons are pretty solid. But yeah, there is a lot of controversy with one of the creators, Justin Roiland. But from what I hear, he didn't really have much of creative input. Like he was just voicing the 2 main characters, and he didn't really create the show other than that. So it is a good show. I do enjoy it. It's kind of become a bit of a meme though. And it's
they had its own Szechuan sauce that you ended up having at McDonald's for a hot second.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I do.
Yeah, I remember I was a senior in high school, I believe, when that came out.
I was working at McDonald's when they did that. Oh,
Everyone
coming over there. Can I get a bunch of it? Sure. No.
I don't remember if it was even good. I doubt it, but
it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst thing that they have came out with it, but it's one of those series that's in the gray zone for me, though. I'm not gonna say I like it, but I'm not gonna say I don't like it. I can deal with it. It's on TV, but I'm not gonna go change right over to it.
That's fair.
I binge crap.
I'll rewatch it every couple of years. Yeah, I'll rewatch it every now and then, and I enjoy it. I think it's pretty good, so I do recommend it. Any other shows you guys want to bring up, or
I have one more, but Adam would be next. Do you have one more or no?
One more. Well, we already talked about He-Man.
We touched on.
Well, how about Transformers?
All right,
there you go.
I ended up going with a classic, and it's something I ended up watching like the reruns of that because obviously I wasn't alive, right, or wasn't sitting there watching it as it was coming over, but having that connection that came over with it that you ended up making with Optimus Prime and ended up getting your soul shattered stress the shattered with the 86 movie that came over with it.
Yep.
It's kind of neat to watch the I always looked for this when they had the cell shading, when they messed up, whenever they ended up painting and they painted the wrong part, the wrong color. You're like, there it is.
Yeah. So what's the favorite character? I mean, Autobot or Decepticon? Do we have a favorite?
Autobot.
And you can't say Optimus.
Day.
You said Optimus?
Grimlock. I'm an Optimus fan, fair. But Optimus is not my number one. But since I had the feeling you weren't going to say that, Grimlock, because he was a big T-Rex at the time.
Grimlock's a good choice. I like that.
Secretively liked Hot Rod, which another hot take drove me nuts about Transformers, the Michael Bay ones, where they ended up having Bumblebee become a Hot Rod pretty much. And that's what drove me nuts about the entire thing. I'm like, no.
Yep. Yeah, I'm my main favorite Transformer, which I typically am not somebody that likes the villainous characters. Like I always like the heroes, but it's actually Starscream. I've always loved Starscream. I think he's so annoying in the best way possible. That's why I really, really liked Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformer run, because obviously Starscream is like front and center when it comes to that specific title and that run.
I got that right next to me.
Yep, there we go, right there.
Good old
great
day.
great title, whether you're a Transformer fan or not. But yeah, my second favorite, if I had to choose an Autobot, is Jazz. I've always been a Jazz fan, and that's why it really pissed me off when Michael Bay had him ripped in half in the first movie, because then there was no more Jazz, which was quite annoying, but it is what it is.
Bay needs to stay off our childhood. There's rumors of him making Thundercats. No, I don't want Bay make Thundercats. He tore my Ninja Turtles up. He tore the Transformers up.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to add about Transformers. I really only have seen the Michael Bay movies, which I don't know. The same Transformers.
I would say the 86 cartoon movie, by far the best movie out of them all.
Yeah, and it does hold up well. You can watch that animated film, and it's pretty solid. It holds up in modern day.
Looks like Dom of X agrees with you, Tyler. Starscream is his favorite as well. Yeah, I mean, I've only really watched the movies. I will buy the deluxe of Transformers with Daniel Warren Johnson, because I love Daniel Warren Johnson. So I will read that, and I'm excited for that. And then there was a new Transformers movie, animated one that came out that I hear great things about.
Transformers
1. You've seen that,
yes.
Adam?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Multiple times. I like it. There's one thing that I wish they ended up doing, though, and they had an opportunity that they could have ended up doing, and I'm sure the voice actors would have came back. But obviously, it's an origins and everything. And then when they become their full selves, when you do get Prime and Megatron, I think they should have had the original voice actors come back. So you should have had Frank Walker voiced Megatron, and you should have had Peter Cullen come over as Optimus Prime, just to solidify that into like an origins for Transformers.
That would have been cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Tyler?
No, I haven't. I've just been slacking on seeing anything new. I've been mainly watching stuff in streaming, so haven't seen it yet. I'm sure I will at some point. I'm sure I can convince the wife to watch it.
We can do a Transformer show where once the deluxe comes out, I'll read that. I think you already own the trades, right? You've already read Daniel Warren Johnson's run. Yeah.
So I'll get the deluxe though. Also,
okay,
but
cool. Yeah. So once that comes out,
deluxe.
What's that?
I'm planning on getting the deluxe.
Okay,
but I have it as the ongoing series.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll have you back on for that episode too when we talk about Transformers. When deluxe comes out, we'll read that, and then we'll watch the Transformers 1, and we'll have you back on.
So we know Luminari is going to end up getting the Starscream cover.
Is there a
What one are you going
Starscream
to
cover?
get? Yeah.
Okay.
There's two different ones. There's a Optimus Prime and a Starscream.
Yeah, it's
All
like
right.
an Autobot and Decepticon covers.
Sweet.
Which one are you going to pick it up? Or are you going to be trying to go whatever I can end up getting? The easy answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just go with the main one, honestly. I don't know. I'll go with the Optimus Prime one. You know. Cool. So Transformers, yeah. Well, I got to make a schedule for the show for this year and map out the dates and stuff. So I'll do that soon and send that to you, Tyler, and then I'll let you know, Adam, when we're doing that too.
Okay.
But okay, Tyler, you have one more show, right?
I do, and this is my favorite childhood show ever. This is probably the most, like, I don't know, not transformative because it didn't like make me a better person or anything, but it definitely is what solidified my love for anime and manga, and that is Dragon Ball Z. One of the shows that aired on Toonami, which for people like Labruski that don't know what that is,
I know what it
that
is.
was
I know what it
that
is.
was a Cartoon Network would turn into Toonami, where you had all of your anime shows, your more, I guess, older teen shows would be aired. Dragon Ball Z is still to this day my favorite anime. Maybe that's nostalgia speaking again, but there's just so much there's just so much action and character development, and it's one of those shows where if you take it at surface value, you're going to have, you know, characters screaming at one another, powering up, you know, naming their super moves, turning into different transformations, all of the anime/manga tropes. But if you dig beneath the surface, I mean, there is just so much just character development to specifically the character of Gohan, who goes on a insane character changes throughout the entire series. And then you, of course, have Goku, who's the main character. He is what everybody wanted to be. Everybody wanted to look like Goku. Everybody was screaming in their basements or outside trying to turn Super Saiyan. And then you have just a absolute A-list supporting cast when it comes to characters like Piccolo, Vegeta, even some of the lesser known supporting cast members like Krillin or Yamcha or Tien. All of them are absolutely awesome, and they have their own characteristics, their own super moves. And I remember watching that, and that was the first story that felt impactful to me. It felt like it was high stakes. It felt like I was watching something so grown for the time of at least my age when I was watching that. And I remember it so vividly because we were actually getting the episodes in VHS format, me and my brother, where they were still in Japanese and they were translated, and we were, you know, putting it in our VCR and watching these episodes way even before they aired on Toonami. And then eventually I think we had to stop just because we couldn't afford it anymore and just caught up to the rest of the Buu saga on Toonami. But yeah, just so good. And then the movies, you have the movies that are still to this day some of my favorite animated movies when it comes to specifically the soundtrack in them, the action, choreography, animation style, everything. It is so great. And obviously Akira Toriyama is the creator behind it. He recently passed away, so rest in peace to him and his impact on pretty much all of our lives, I'm sure. But yeah, just absolutely A+ animation there.
Yeah, I have to say it's definitely a stellar series. Especially it was more of a culture thing. It wasn't just DBZ and everything. It was I mean, you could go over and you'll see videos when people are into that big wind tunnel machine and doing the entire power up. Wow, like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I feel like it's still a culture thing, you know. I mean, we still have new Dragon Ball Z video games coming out. We still have new Dragon Ball Z movies. We have the continuation
Dragon Ball
with
Super.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Super and Dragon Ball Z Daima or whatever's on Netflix that I haven't even watched yet. But yeah, it's still a cultural phenomenon. It's still playing into the nostalgia sensory that's in our brain and just still airing all new content. And all of it has been well received. It's all been great so far.
So something that's not something, what do you think about the live action movies or movie?
We don't speak about that.
Okay, I didn't want to be the only one that has something in the box.
Did you say you thought it was great, Labruski?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. That's how I know Dragon Ball Z. I've never seen it.
Don't watch.
I have watched Dragon Ball. I don't know if I've ever really watched Dragon Ball Z though.
Dragon Ball drives me so crazy because it's like 5 episodes before you finally get to something. And then like the original Dragon Ball Z was the same thing. I think it was where like and then you get a full episode of action. You're like, yeah, where's this? I want more of this.
I think Dragon Ball is a little bit more like almost action adventure, where Dragon Ball Z goes full action. I mean, it's some episodes are completely brainless, just characters beating the crap out of each other, but the emotional moments that are there are so emotionally charged. Specifically the Goku versus Majin Vegeta scene, that entire sequence, honestly, even Majin Vegeta going to Buu and kind of coming face to face with his son and his rival's son, just so many emotional scenes, but they're very scattered. There's fewer of them in Dragon Ball Z than Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z is just so much better in my opinion.
So what's your favorite character?
That's what I hear a lot. Is Dragon Ball Z is a lot better.
Yeah. I would agree.
Cool.
I would agree.
Adam, you asked what his favorite character is.
What's his favorite character?
My 3 favorite characters. So I do have my number 1, which is Vegeta. It's always been Vegeta ever since I was a kid. I'm kind of a sucker for not choosing the main character, but choosing someone else in the supporting cast. And it kind of helped me as a kid because when we would play, these games of Dragon Ball Z, my brother would always be Goku. So I had to be somebody else. But my secondaries are Gohan and Tien. I absolutely love those characters as well.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is, just another cultural phenomenon, where
it is.
It just blew up and is still as popular as ever, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. I know my brother, I feel like he watched Dragon Ball Z, but I don't know. Maybe he just watched it when I wasn't in the room, or I don't know. But I never watched it really growing up, so I don't know.
Want to make this thing go on fire? Like we could have everyone go crazy about it. Who would win between Superman and Goku?
Oof.
So a little bit of a lore, I guess Illuminati lore. I've been arguing that argument for the better half of probably a decade. Me and my brother are very, very involved in debates. Not so much anymore because I don't want it to be attached to Illuminati and stuff like that anymore. But we used to write like essays about why Superman would beat Goku, like every single day. Yeah, he would be an interesting person to have on this show at some point. But I mean, it would be full blown arguments. I mean, it would be crazy. But yeah, a little behind the scenes there.
Interesting.
My question would be: is what do you see Ki being? Do you see it being magical, or do you see it just being another thing? Because if you see it being magical, then you can make a good precedent that Superman could end up. But the thing is the way I like to see it explained, because I can't remember who ended up making the thing twice now. they ended up making the show about it. But you have Superman, which is unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing about Goku is where he has to have that wall and break through that wall. Well, the sad part is Superman doesn't have that wall that he could end up breaking through.
No, and I've debunked a multitude of arguments at this point. I mean, there's people that say the Spirit Bomb is Goku's most powerful attack. It would kill Superman, but the Spirit Bomb only affects those that aren't pure of heart, so Superman's unscathed. The argument of ki, is it magical base? No, it's biological base. Saiyans have ki. Certain alien creatures have ki. It's not based in magic at all, so I don't think that holds water. As far as their feats when it comes to speed or strength, Superman knocks that out of the park. I mean, this is an entire show that I could dive deep into, but yeah, Superman takes it. There is a scenario where Goku can win. I 100% tip my hat to how powerful he is as a character, but Superman takes it in most cases.
And one final
Brewski's like, what is going on in here?
Have you watched A Bridge?
A Bridge?
Have you watched? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, of course.
Nail.
Wow.
Gotta watch Abridged. Brewski,
okay.
You want to weigh in?
Have fun with that.
I gotta digest all that. I feel like I gotta sleep on all that. You should
too rich of a treat here.
You should do a video, Illuminati, of for your argument of why Superman would win. I think that'd be cool.
Well, the fun story behind that is before I ever had a YouTube, my brother had a little bit of a YouTube, and it was like called Superman Respect or something like that, where he made those videos. He now has like another YouTube that he got inspired to make once I made my YouTube and stuff. But
is he doing YouTube now?
Yeah, he literally like I was doing it for like 6 months, and then randomly he was like, "Oh, I'm making a YouTube," and I'm like, "Okay, I guess whatever."
Is he your younger or older brother?
Older.
Really? Okay. I feel like it's usually the other way around, of the younger brother copying the older brother. Like that's what I would do. I would always copy my brother growing up, you know. So
that's a whole nother. I guess discussion. Maybe somebody can dress up like Dr. Phil, and we can hash into the family dynamic of my family.
Sure. Into bald cat.
Do you want to shout out your brother or no?
You
don't have to.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
All right. It would be interesting to have him on sometime. So does he like talk comics and stuff? Is that?
No, he does airsoft. So he buys airsoft weaponry and airsoft like gear and reviews it. And he's never played an airsoft game, but he likes the airsoft I guess world of that stuff.
So a very different audience than what we have here.
Very, 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 very.
Okay. Well, it would be interesting to have him on to, I don't know, talk some comics or whatever. Let's see. Corbin says Superman is slept on because he's so nice. He's the sweetest world destroyer the Earth could ask for. Yeah, that's fair. I do really want the Absolute Superman by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just think that'd be awesome. I don't know. I'm not going to buy it, but I think it would be cool to read some of those stories and whatnot. And
I'm not going down the absolute round. That's one rabbit hole that I'm not going down the absolute rabbit hole because same
with Illuminati. You won't do it.
That is the one to get though.
Yeah, I have 4. I have 4. Preacher, Day Tripper, Batman Hush, and then Long Halloween. So
all solid.
And then I think I'll get the other 2 Preachers and reread those. And that's it. I mean, I would like the Superman Absolute, but Superman Red Son, I'll probably get that too. So, but I'm not gonna buy all of them. Like,
you're not gonna pull a Jake?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pull a Jake. Peace and love to Jake.
I'm glad he has something that he's proud of and everything. That's something that everyone should have a collection that they're proud of. Yeah. But that's one track that he's saying, I'll live through him, is the way
I agree. For most of that, yes, I agree with you. Yes, 100%. But all right, I think that's gonna do it. Unless we have any other last minute shows we want to discuss.
I'm good.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Please subscribe to Adam's channel. Using the link in the description below, and then there's also a link to Illuminerdi's channel in the description. Please go subscribe if you have not done so already, and please like, comment, subscribe for my channel. Much appreciated. And I think that's going to do it. So awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys.